Are there things in this world that move unseen, wearing the faces of those we love, speaking with voices we recognize, hiding in plain sight? They do not announce their presence with thunder or flame, nor do they lurk in the shadows like the monsters of old. No, they sit beside you at the dinner table. They smile at you from across the room. They laugh, they cry, they pretend. But something about them is odd. You have felt it before, even if you could not name it. That moment when a familiar face seems just a little too unfamiliar. When their eyes linger too long, their laughter rings hollow. Their words feel like they were spoken by something else. You tell yourself it's your imagination, that you are being paranoid. But deep down, a whisper in your soul tells you otherwise. They are here among us, and they are waiting. You must learn to see them, to recognize the signs before it is too late, because once they have their hold on you, once you are caught in their web, escape is not so simple. Tonight, we will uncover the truth. Tonight, we will learn how to spot them before they spot you. It begins with a shift so subtle, you almost miss it. The person you once knew, their laughter, their habits, their very essence seems slightly off. At first it's nothing obvious. A fleeting change in tone, a glance that lingers too long, a moment of silence where words once flowed easily. But as time passes, the changes deepen, stretching beyond simple mood swings or the natural evolution of personality. This is something different, something unnatural. Their warmth cools. Remember how they used to light up a room, how their presence was comforting, familiar. But now there's a hollowness, as if the core of their being has shifted, just beyond reach. Conversations that once felt effortless now feel forced, strained. They react differently to the things that once made them laugh, or they no longer laugh at all. Their humor turns sharp, their kindness dulled. It is as though something has drained them of what made them. You notice it most in their eyes. There is a strange distance there, a vacancy where there was once depth. They seem distracted, unfocused, as if listening to something you cannot hear, responding to something unseen. Sometimes, in the briefest of moments, you catch an expression that does not belong to them. An intensity, a flicker of something watching from behind their gaze. It is fleeting, but undeniable. And then they blink and it's gone, leaving you to wonder if you imagined it. But then, the changes become undeniable. The things they once loved, the passions that defined them, begin to wither. They stop doing the things that brought them joy, withdraw from those who truly care for them. Their hobbies, their rituals, the small comforts they once found solace in, abandon as if they no longer belong to this world. In their place, something else takes root. New obsessions, strange fascinations, interests that seem foreign yet consume them. And with each passing day, they seem further away. Their emotions too begin to unravel. They are no longer in control. Rage flares where patience once reigned. Fear gives way to arrogance. Love is replaced by indifference. They lash out without reason, wound without regret. And in the rare moments they do show remorse, it feels hollow. Like an actor mimicking lines, going through the motions of something they no longer truly feel. They may offer an apology, but their eyes tell another story. They are not sorry, they do not care. There are the nights. They wake in strange moods, as if they have been somewhere else while they slept. They speak of vivid dreams, but their descriptions leave an unease that lingers in the air. Some nights, they do not sleep at all. They sit awake, staring at nothing. Their breathing slow and measured. And when you ask what's wrong, they smile in a way that does not reach their eyes, a smile that is not their own. It starts small, almost imperceptible, a tiny lie here, a slight distortion of the truth there. You brush it off, thinking perhaps they misspoke, perhaps their memory failed them, but then you begin to notice a pattern. The truth bends too often, always in their favor, always to shift perception in a way that benefits them. They tell stories that don't quite align with reality, shifting facts, omitting details, weaving narratives that serve a hidden purpose. And when confronted, they do not waver. They do not stumble. Instead, they smile, deflect, and twist words until you begin to doubt yourself. Gaslighting becomes their tool of choice. You recall a conversation vividly, but they insist it never happened. You remember their promise, but they claim you misunderstood. At first you argue, you hold on to your own certainty, but over time they wear you down. They make you question your own mind, planting doubt so skillfully that you begin to believe them. Perhaps you were mistaken. Perhaps you overreacted. And once that door is open, they push further, rewriting reality as they see fit. Their charm is a weapon, sharp and precise. They know exactly what to say, exactly how to make themselves seem trustworthy. To others, they are charismatic, persuasive, impossible to resist. They weave words like a master artist, painting illusions, making people see what they want them to see. They can play the victim when needed, shifting blame effortlessly. They can play the hero, stepping in just at the right moment to claim admiration. And they can play the villain, but only in the shadows, only when they are certain they will not be caught. They manipulate emotions like a puppeteer pulling strings. If kindness serves them, they will be the kindest person you know. If cruelty is required, they will wield it without hesitation. But their true skill lies in knowing which emotions will break you. If they need you vulnerable, they will chip away at your confidence, planting seeds of insecurity. If they need you dependent, they will isolate you, ensuring that you feel alone in a world that no longer makes sense. If they need you afraid, they will whisper just the right words to make your heart race in the dark. And all the while, they act as if they are innocent, as if they are simply misunderstood. They deny wrongdoing with such conviction that even those who suspect them begin to second guess. They are masters of the long game, playing moves so carefully placed that by the time you see the pattern, it is already too late. They have you exactly where they want you, trapped in a reality they have constructed, where their words are truth and your doubts are merely imagined. It is a slow, calculated process, one that leaves no obvious scars, no visible wounds, only the lingering feeling that something is deeply, terribly wrong, but without proof, without clear reason. And by the time you understand, you are already caught in their web, struggling to remember what was real before they came along. It happens in ways that don't seem alarming at first. A slight discomfort when certain words are spoken, a dismissive attitude toward anything sacred. You notice they roll their eyes when someone prays, shift uncomfortably in the presence of religious symbols. They brush it off with a joke, a cynical remark, a forced laugh that doesn't quite match their usual tone. At first, it seems like mere skepticism, a harmless distaste for things they do not believe in. But then the reactions grow stronger, more visceral. What once was quiet discomfort turns into outright hostility. You mention faith in passing and their mood shifts, their body tenses, their face hardens, their words take on a sharp edge. They lash out not with reasoned arguments, but with venom, as if the mere concept offends them on a level deeper than thought. If a prayer is said in their presence, their irritation is instant, disproportionate. They grow restless, eyes darting, fingers twitching, as if something unseen is agitating them. Some will leave the room altogether, unable or unwilling to endure it. It is not a reaction of disbelief. It is not simple disagreement. It is something else entirely. There is a weight to their presence when these moments occur. The air around them thickens, pressing inward, making the space feel smaller. The atmosphere shifts, becoming charged with something you cannot quite name. It is as if an unseen force recoils within them, reacting to something that is not meant to be near. Their discomfort grows into anger, their anger into something darker. You see it in their eyes, a flicker of something unnatural, something that does not belong. And then, just as quickly as it came, they composed themselves. They masked it with a smirk, a shrug, an attempt to make you feel as though you imagined it. But you didn't. Sacred objects provoke the strongest reactions. A cross, a blessed artifact, even a simple passage from a holy book. Things that should have no power over an ordinary person seem to unnerve them. If touched by such an object, they pull away too quickly, as if burned. They call it superstition, mock the idea that an item could hold meaning. And yet their actions betray their words. If it meant nothing, why do they react at all? Their aversion is not limited to objects but to people as well. They avoid those who radiate goodness, those whose spirits seem untarnished. They do not wish to be near them, do not wish to engage because something within them cannot stand the light. Instead, they gravitate toward the broken, the angry, the bitter, those who have already been touched by darkness. They seek out the lost, not to guide them, but to keep them lost. They will never admit it. They will rationalize, excuse, distract. But if you watch closely, if you test their reaction, the truth reveals itself. And once you see it, you will know something inside them does not belong to this world. The eyes are where it begins. They are the first thing that feels wrong. It isn't about color or shape, it's something deeper. A moment when the person you know looks at you, and yet it doesn't feel like them. There's something else behind the gaze. Something watching, calculating, studying. It is not the usual flicker of emotion that makes a person human. It is emptiness. A hollow void that stretches too far back, as if the soul has receded, leaving something else in its place. At first you dismiss it, a trick of the light, a momentary lapse in expression, but then you see it again and again. The way their pupils seem unnaturally dark in certain moments, the way their stare lingers too long, unblinking, as if they are seeing something beyond you, something behind you. And then there are the shifts, the subtle but undeniable changes in their gaze. One moment it is them, the next something else peers through. You blink and they smile, as if they know you saw it, as if they are daring you to say something. The voice. It doesn't always change completely, but there are moments when it doesn't sound right. A word spoken too slowly, a sentence that carries an edge that wasn't there before. Sometimes it drops too low, just for a moment, a guttural undertone that doesn't fit their usual speech. Other times it stretches, as if the words are being pulled from someplace deep and distant. You notice it most when they are angry or when they are speaking about certain topics. There is a weight to their voice, a resonance that doesn't belong. Laughter is the worst of it. It is not simply laughter. It is something else pretending to laugh. A sound that carries no warmth, no joy, only a mocking hollowness. You hear it at the wrong times, when there is nothing to laugh about. A joke that wasn't funny, a quiet moment interrupted by an eerie chuckle under the breath. It is not the laughter of someone amused. It is the laughter of something that enjoys watching. And then there are the words they should not know. They speak of things they have no reason to understand. They recall memories that are not their own, or they describe events with a certainty that does not belong to them. At times they slip, phrases that sound ancient, words spoken in tones that feel borrowed. And when questioned, they shrug, smile, change the subject as if daring you to push further. In moments of anger, the voice can become something entirely different. Louder, deeper, resonating in ways that do not belong to the person you once knew. It is not shouting, it is something more. A sound that vibrates in the air, that unsettles the bones, that makes even the strongest feel an instinctual need to step back. And when the moment passes, they act as if nothing happened, as if you imagined it. But you didn't, and neither did they. Wherever they go, chaos follows. It isn't always obvious at first, but when you step back and look at the pattern, it becomes undeniable. Relationships unravel in their presence, friendships sour, families fracture. It's as if something about them poisons the connections between people, whispering unseen words into the minds of those around them. Conflicts seem to arise out of nowhere. Small misunderstandings become insurmountable rifts. Petty disagreements turn into bitter feuds, and yet they always stand at the center of it, untouched, watching as everything falls apart. You assume it's bad luck. Some people are simply drawn to trouble, after all, but the more you observe, the more you realize it isn't chance. It's deliberate. They encourage discord in subtle ways, planting seeds of doubt, stirring resentment with carefully chosen words. They say things that don't seem harmful in the moment, but later you realize how cleverly they twisted the truth. How they nudge someone toward anger without ever appearing to do so. They play innocent, act as though they are merely bystanders, but the destruction they leave in their wake is no accident. Negativity clings to them. No matter where they are, the atmosphere feels heavier. Conversations around them turn darker, more cynical. When they speak, their words are laced with something that lingers, something that pulls the mind toward despair, toward hopelessness. They drain the energy from a room, not through volume or presence, but through something unseen. You leave their company feeling exhausted, as if something has been taken from you, as if your very spirit has been dimmed, even if only slightly. Those closest to them suffer the most. You notice how their friends, their family, their partners begin to change. At first, they are merely tired, distracted. Then they become anxious, easily angered, withdrawn. They lose interest in the things that once brought them joy. They second-guess themselves, grow paranoid, uncertain. It is as though something is feeding off them, siphoning away their strength, and always, the one at the center remains unaffected, untouched by the destruction unfolding around them. When things go truly wrong, when tragedy strikes, when pain seeps into the lives of those they claim to care for, they do not react as they should. There is no genuine sorrow, no true empathy. They mimic the motions of grief, but something about it feels rehearsed, hollow. And when no one is watching, there is a flicker of something else, satisfaction, amusement, something in their expression that does not belong. It is as though suffering is not merely an inconvenience to them, but a source of quiet pleasure. Even the places they frequent seem to wither. Businesses they visit too often close their doors. Homes they stay in for long lose their warmth. People who stand too close to them for too long find their lives unraveling in ways they cannot explain. And yet, they will always have an excuse, a reason why it isn't their fault. But deep down, you know the truth. You've seen the pattern. You felt the weight of their presence. And the destruction they leave behind is not a coincidence. It never was. There is something unnatural about the way they move. It is not always obvious, not always constant, but in certain moments you notice it. A hesitation that shouldn't be there. A stiffness that doesn't match the way their body should function. Sometimes it is the opposite. A sudden fluidity. An eerie grace that feels too precise, too calculated. They walk into a room and for a moment it feels as though they did not enter, but were simply there, as if they moved in a way the mind cannot fully register. It unsettles you, but you cannot explain why. Then there are the reflexes, the unnatural stillness. Most people fidget, shift their weight, adjust their posture, but not them. At times they remain perfectly motionless for too long, as if frozen, waiting for something unseen. Other times, they react with inhuman speed, catching something before it falls, turning their head before the sound reaches the air. Their movements are precise, always just ahead of what should be possible. You try to dismiss it as coincidence, but deep down a part of you knows it isn't. Their presence has an effect on the world around them. Animals react first. Dogs that are usually friendly cower when they enter the room, ears flattening, tails tucking between their legs. Some bark, but not in warning. There is terror in their sound, a desperate attempt to drive something away. Cats stare, unmoving, watching them as if seeing something beyond the human form. Some flee outright, darting from the room the moment they arrive, and when they are near, even birds seem to grow silent, as if nature itself is holding its breath. Electronics behave strangely in their presence. Lights flicker, but only around them. Devices lose battery faster than they should. Signals drop, screens glitch. Sometimes you hear whispers in the static of a television, words that vanish the moment you try to listen closely. At first you blame faulty wiring, interference, coincidence, but it keeps happening, always when they are near, always in ways that cannot be explained. The air changes when they are close. Sometimes it is a chill that has nothing to do with the temperature, a sudden drop that makes the hairs on your arms stand up. Other times it is the opposite, An oppressive heat that presses down on you, making it hard to breathe. The air feels heavy, charged, as if something unseen is lurking just beneath the surface. You step away, instinct telling you to put distance between yourself and them, but you don't know why. And then there are the moments that should not be possible. You see them in one place, and then impossibly they are somewhere else. You hear them speak, but their lips did not move. You feel their eyes on you, even when their back is turned. When you blink, for just an instant, their shadow does not match their form. And when you finally try to make sense of it, to find logic in what you have witnessed, they simply smile, because they know, and they know that you know. You have seen the signs, felt the unease, witnessed the patterns that defy explanation. It is no longer a question of coincidence or imagination. Something lurks beneath the surface, wearing familiar faces, moving among us unnoticed. They do not announce themselves with fire and brimstone, nor do they arrive with the dramatic flair of ancient tales. Instead, they whisper, they watch, they weave themselves into the fabric of our lives until it is too late to untangle their presence. What you choose to do with this knowledge is yours alone to decide, but be vigilant. Trust your instincts, for they know what the mind often refuses to accept. Pay attention to the changes, the subtle shifts that signal something is wrong. When the laughter feels hollow, when the gaze lingers too long, when the air turns heavy with something unseen, do not dismiss it. Do not allow yourself to be deceived. Evil does not always come with a snarl. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it offers a hand in friendship, speaks in soothing tones, makes you feel safe while it tightens the invisible chains around you. But no matter how well it hides, the truth will always reveal itself to those who dare to see it. Good luck to you, and may you walk in light while others stumble in shadow. Thank you.